Once upon a time, in a peaceful village called Otumara, there lived a successful businesswoman named Juliana. She was known throughout the land for her hard work and riches. But what Juliana valued most in life was not her wealth, but her only son, Ogaga. He was her pride and joy, a blessing she never thought she would have. And she loved him more than anything. Ogaga was no ordinary child. From the day he was born, Juliana believed he was special, a child destined for greatness. Because of this, she gave him everything his heart desired. Every time she traveled to distant town for business, Juliana will return with beautiful gifts for Ogaga. Whether it was fine clothes, the newest shoes, or expensive toys, she spared no expense to keep her son happy. It was said in the village that Ogaga owned more shoes than anyone else, even more than some adults. Whenever Ogaga wore his new clothes, he would parade around the village, showing them off to the other children. The villagers admired the boy's wealth, but some worried that he was becoming too proud. They often whispered among themselves, "It is not good to spoil a child like that." But Juliana didn't listen to the whispers. To her, Ogaga was perfect, and no one had the right to tell her otherwise. As time passed, Ogaga began to misbehave. He became rude to the other children and disrespected elders in the village. If someone scolded him for his bad behavior, he would run to his mother, and Juliana will always defend him no matter what. "My son can do no wrong," she would say angrily, quarreling with everyone who dared to speak against Ogaga. Over time, Ogaga learned that his mother would always protect him, and he started doing whatever he pleased without fear of consequences. One afternoon, something unusual happened. As Juliana was preparing to leave for another business trip, Ogaga came to her. His face lighted up with excitement. "Mother, can I go into town with my friends?" he asked. Juliana smiled, not suspecting anything. "Of course, my son," she replied. She trusted him fully, believing that he would never do anything wrong. But little did she know, Ogaga's new friends were not like the boys he used to play with. They were part of a dangerous gang, known for stealing and causing trouble. The gang had promised Ogaga adventures and riches beyond what his mother could give him. At first, Ogaga had hesitated, but the excitement and the thrill they offered were too tempting. Soon, he began to spend more time with them, sneaking out at night and returning home with strange stories that Juliana never questioned. One fateful night, Ogaga and his gang planned something bigger than they had ever done before. They decided to rob a wealthy shopkeeper in a neighboring town. Ogaga was nervous, but the others convinced him it would be easy. "You will finally get to be rich on your own, not just with your mother's gift," they teased. Ogaga, wanting to prove himself, agreed. As they crept through the dark streets, the gang moved quickly, breaking into the shop and gathering whatever they could find. At first, everything went smoothly, but then the sound of approaching footsteps filled the air. The shopkeeper had returned unexpectedly. In a panic, the gang scattered, but it was too late. The police were already outside, alerted by a nearby guard who had seen the boys sneaking in. Ogaga was caught red-handed. As the police dragged him away, tears filled his eyes. He thought of his mother, and for the first time, he realized the weight of his actions. He had always been protected, always be given whatever he wanted, but now he was left alone, facing the consequences of his choice. News of Ogaga arrest spread like a wildfire through Otumara. When Juliana heard what had happened, she was in disbelief. She rushed to the police station, her heart pounding with fear and regret. "There must be some mistake," she cried. "My son is a good boy. He wouldn't do this." But the evidence was clear, and the truth could not be denied. Days later, a terrible sentence was passed. Ogaga and the other gang members were condemned for their crimes. The punishment was severe. They were sentenced to death. Juliana, shrinking with shock and heartbreak, collapsed at the news. She had lost her only son, and now nothing in the world could bring him back. The entire village was quiet as Ogaga's life came to a tragic end. As word of his execution spread, Juliana's grief became unbearable. She refused to eat or leave her house. Day after day, she sat in silence, staring at the empty room that once belonged to her son. The once vibrant and joyful woman was now just a shadow of her former self. Her wealth and possession meant nothing to her anymore. Weeks passed, and Juliana's health began to fail. The sorrow of losing her son consumed her, and the weight of regret crushed her spirit. The villagers tried to comfort her, but there was nothing anyone could do to ease her pain. She often whispered to herself, "If only I had been stricter. If only I had guided him better, my Ogaga would still be alive." One cold morning, the village awoke to tragic news. Juliana had passed away in her sleep. Her body, weakened by grief, could no longer bear the burden of her loss. It was as if her heart had simply given up. The villagers mourned her death, but many saw it as a final chapter of a sad and painful story. Juliana's burial was quiet and sober. As they lay her to rest beside her son, the elders of the village gathered the children and told them the story of Juliana and Ogaga. They spoke of how love, though important, must come with discipline and wisdom. From that day onward, the tale of Juliana and Ogaga became a lesson passed down through generations. Parents were reminded that while love for their children is essential, it must be balanced with guidance and discipline. For without this, even the brightest future can be darkened by poor choices. Please subscribe to this channel to support the channel. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video.